As today is our senior Sunday, we got folks that are graduating. We got folks that are still at school. But ultimately, we still got people going on a journey. Their journey has started. Their journey is in the middle. They're somewhere on their journey. And truth is, we're all on a journey. And we're going to be looking at today a journey from a man named Moses and where his journey leads him. But before that, there's another journey I was thinking of. This story is told long ago. This man, he was a boxer, a good boxer at that. Maybe not necessarily the most polished of them all, kind of a ruffian, if you will, but he got the job done. He would get in the ring and he would win his boxing match. And so he's boxing and he gets to the point where he says, okay, it's time for me to step back. It's time to let go. It's time for me to find someone else. And so he picks a friend of his who too is a boxer. And this boxer is very polished. I mean, this boxer's smooth. I mean, this boxer's out of the Muhammad Ali type of thing. I mean, he can dance, he can float, he can do it all. And so it's a little bit of a difference, but they're good friends, so they're very different. And so there's this match that happens. It's an exhibition match. And the boxer, our guy we're talking about here, his friend's getting in the ring, and he's the good guy. He's the one everyone loves and cheering for. And then the guy he's fighting against, he's the bad guy. Now, he's the guy that people don't like. People are like, ooh, yeah, he's rough, he cheats, he does all these things. And so as it goes, the match goes on, and as these things turn out, the hero loses. The bad guy wins. And it's not only enough that the bad guy technically wins the boxing match, but the bad guy ends the career of the first one, the good guy. He's done. There's no more boxing for him. So his coach, the one I talked about earlier, the rough around the edges, the kind of a gnarly looking guy, he says, you're not going to do this. And he takes it on himself to rematch. Now, the other guy, the bad guy, he's younger, he's faster, he's stronger. He's doing all kinds of things. But the old coach, he just starts to train. He starts to train in ways that are maybe a little unorthodox. He's running in the snow. He's chopping wood. I mean, there's a story told that George Foreman, great boxer, used to train by putting a calf on his neck and running up a hill. In our modern days, we would say that's a weird way to train. But that's what he does. He does all this stuff. And he's little compared to the other guy. The other guy's big. And so they get in the ring, and this time it's on the other guy's turf. And he's sitting there, and the match starts going, and the other guy, the bad guy, we would say, starts getting the upper hand. But our good guy, our coach, he hangs in there. He fights back. He pushes back. He pushes back. And finally, after 15 grueling rounds, Rocky Balboa defeats Ivan Drago of the Soviet Union. And we feel like the good guy wins, right? And then Rocky has that famous saying where he says, I can change, he can change, you can change, we can all change. And the Soviet people fall in love with him. Now, what's that have to do with the journey? Well, that would have been a great way to end the Rocky series, right? But they just go on and make more movies. I mean, the journey kept going on and on. There's Rocky and Tommy, and there's Rocky and this. And then after we're done with Rocky, we go to Creed. And now we're at Creed 1, 2, and 3. I mean, the Rocky journey just continues on and on. And even in the Sylvester Stallone, there's one where he's an arm wrestler and he puts his hat on backwards. And it's really a bad movie called Over the Top. I think maybe Tim Lyles gets deep spiritual inspiration from that moment when he puts his hand up. I don't know. I could be wrong. But that is a funny, humorous journey, right? And the journey ends in a way that we're comfortable with. But I want to look at Moses' journey with you just in the few minutes I have. Look at his journey, and let's see what we can take from there. And so we know the start of the story. Pharaoh has said, kill all the boys. The Israelites are too numerous. tells the midwives, kill the boys when they come. Well, the midwives don't. They obey God. And the people continue to flourish. And then it's Moses' mother and sister. They make the wicker basket. They put him in the Nile River. And then Miriam, his sister, goes out and watches. I will say there was some tension for me in this right here. Being a dad of 2 girls and 1 boy, I was like, where's the dad in this? Why isn't he out there doing some of this? But maybe he was, I don't know. But it certainly convicted me to say, I'm going to be involved in my kid's story for sure. So they go out there, and would you believe it, there's Pharaoh's daughter. And she finds the little baby, and she picks him up and takes him in. And would you believe it's Pharaoh's daughter that gives him the name Moses? God is working through these very powerful women in this story to start what is a very powerful journey. And so Moses grows up in Pharaoh's house. He has all the luxuries. He sees one of his fellow Israelites being beaten. He intervenes, thinks he's doing what's right. He shouldn't have murdered someone, let's say that. But then his folks turn on him. Who made you ruler? What have you done lately? And he flees to Midian. And while he's there in Midian, taking care of sheep, he meets his wife, Zipporah. He gets married. But one day, as Kate read so beautifully for us, he's out there by Mount Horeb. And he's watching. He sees that bush. He says, so now go. I will go up and see what this is that this bush is burning. And it's at that point that he encounters God. And when he encounters God at that moment, God reaches out to him first. Crystal set us up so well for this. God says, Moses, Moses. And Moses' response to that is, here I am. When you're going on your journey, as you're in the middle of it, have you heard the voice of God speak to you? Have you felt God say something to you? What's been your response to that? I know for me, I've never heard a big audible voice in my head out loud. I think that'd be pretty amazing. But I do know myself well enough that God has said, Josh, I want you to do this. And my response hasn't always been, here I am. My response at times has been, find somebody else. I'm not walking into that mess. My plate is full, friend. But Moses says, here I am. And that's what I would encourage us to do. I would encourage us as we are on our journey. Let's give God a chance, right? If he says, Larry, here I am. Kai, here I am. Moses says, here I am. We respond to that. But then Moses goes on to say, as God tells him his great plan, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? I think Moses is genuinely scared. I think Moses realized the last time I was there, they were trying to kill me. Does God ever call you into these situations where you feel like, oh, that's a death trap? What have I done? Why would you send me there? Send Tim, send Carrie, send somebody else, but not me. And God says this to him. Verse 12 of Exodus 3, I will be with you. Let's just take a moment and ask the honest question, is that enough for you? Think of something hard you've got to do. It's coming up. And if you hear that voice of God saying, I will be with you, is that enough to give you confidence to do it? To follow through on your journey? For me, someone who often questions and doubts, it's a big struggle. It's a very big struggle. But that's what I find myself telling people in my job as a chaplain at the hospital too. I cannot make your illness go away. I cannot change your family situation, but I can tell you that God is with you. And I can tell you that he knows, he loves, and he cares, and he's involved. And so as Moses goes on, God said, I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you, that is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. God calls us by name. Here I am. God tells us the plan, the journey he has for us. We push back. It's too much. That messes with my comfort. God says, but I will be with you. And he doesn't stop there. He says, and we have got to show the world. We have got to show the world. I called you. I sent you on this journey. I am with you. And we will show the world through our worship. We do an outstanding job around here with our time of worship. I so enjoy the songs that we select. It reminds me of the truth of who God is. I love being in community with you and doing this. It lifts my spirits. It raises me up. But if my worship is just in this room, I'm probably leaving something off. What if I'm going out into the world and I'm showing my worship out there? And what if God is saying, yes, you're pointing them to me. You're showing them there is a God out there who loves them and cares for them. That will be the sign, is you will worship. You will show them. And so Moses again, like, okay, I'm not sure. Who shall I tell him has sent me? Who is it? And that's when we get the name above all names. I am who I am. Tell them I am has sent you. And Moses goes. And we know our story from there. He goes to Egypt. There's plagues. There's all kinds of mess. There's a hardening of hearts. But it's not until the very end, when it takes the life of the firstborn, that Pharaoh relents and he lets them go. And so they're going out into the wilderness. They're getting up to the Red Sea. They pass through the Red Sea. I love it where Moses cries out to God, God, are you going to save us? He's like, why are you crying out to me? Spread out your hands. This is the journey. This is what I've called you to do. Trust, believe, have faith. And of course, God sticks to what he said. I am with you. I can't find a single part in this whole story of Moses where there wasn't one time God was not with him. I can't find a spot where, like with Saul, he could not even find the Lord, but he was always with him. God was faithful and good. They cross the Red Sea and the journey is on. And like most of us, we get into this journey that God has for us. And shortly in, it's like, there's complaining. This isn't what I was thinking. Then there's more stuff that starts happening. There's arguing and bickering. If we just could have stayed in Egypt. Man, that place was so great. They had cucumbers. I love a cucumber. I'm out here doing whatever. There's grumbling, complaining, and ultimately there's doubting. You had any of that in your journey with God? Do you have anyone that admit it? I will say certainly, I have had times I have complained, and if you don't believe me, you can ask my wife. There are times I have said, I don't want this. And then God says, but whom shall I send? And so they keep going. And I have a moment for Moses. I can only imagine what it would be like. Like we've all been on teams, or we've all been in situations where you've got that one person who they just have such a strong opinion on things, or they're just difficult to work with, or no matter what happens, they always say, this wasn't good enough. The complaining is high. That wears me out. And when I get worn out, I cannot be my best to take the high road. Sometimes my true nature comes out, and they see parts of me that I try really hard to cover up. And then when that happens, then I start doing things that I'm like, that was not the best. And so I'm looking at Moses' life here. And I'm looking over here at Numbers 20. The people are thirsty. Well, that's a valid thing. The people have forgotten all that God did. Moses and Aaron, they go before God. That's a good move. And what should we do? And God says, take the staff, command the rock, and water will come out. Moses does as God says. He goes to the rock, but he adds one different part to it. He takes the staff and he hits the rock twice. But that's not part of the journey God had lined out for Moses. That's not part of the direction. Now, in all honesty, I was sitting here as I was reading this week wondering if Moses wasn't tempted to just hit someone in the head with the stick and be like, I'm so tired of you. But he hits this rock twice and water comes pouring out. Oh, good. Good, we got what we needed. But Numbers 20:12 says, but the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I give them. What? I hit a rock twice? And you're telling me I don't get to go forward? I don't get to see the land of milk and honey? I've got to run around with these grumbling, cranky people for the rest of this time, and I don't even get to go in? I read that, and there's part of me that says, that's very unjust. Not very caring. Where's the love in that? We serve a God of love and compassion. And he's hammering down because a rock got hit? But again, there's more to it. Because you did not trust me enough to honor me as holy. And so, flipping over to Deuteronomy 34, the Lord kept his word. But the Lord did kind of meet Moses a little bit in the middle there. He said, I will take you up to this great mountain. I will show you all of the promised land. You will see every nook, every cranny, every square inch. And he does. He takes him up the mountain. He says, I have let you see it with your eyes, but you will not cross over into it. I give in to my kids a lot. They tell me, hey, Dad, can I have like 5 more minutes of TV? No, fine. Hey, Dad, can we go to Chick-fil-A? No, fine. I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want arguing in the car. I mean, you're like in a confined place. But I give in so much to them, and I'm like, come on, right? Can't Moses at least put a foot on the side and be like, oh, no. 34:5 says, and Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, as the Lord had said. He was buried. Do any of you struggle with this? We're looking at this journey of Moses. We're looking at all the good that he did. We see that God says, I spoke to Moses face to face as a friend speaks to a friend. We're seeing all the sacrifice Moses did. And we're seeing this journey that he's on. Does anyone struggle? Has this been your journey? Has this been anything for you that I gave it all for whatever thing it may be, and I never got to go into the promised land? Well, I think it's easy for us to stop there and say, well, but we just keep trusting God and believing. But I like to flip over here into the New Testament. And I'm looking at Matthew 17:1-3 here. We know this passage as the transfiguration of Jesus. And it says here, after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. We could stop right there, but there's one more verse. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. Maybe we're quick to say the journey's ended, and God said it's not. Maybe we're quick to say my journey fulfillment is this earthly thing. God says, that's not enough. Maybe we're quick to say, my journey is me and me alone. And God says, no, it's not. It's me and you. Seems to me that Moses did get to go into the promised land. Seems to me Moses did get to stand on the promised land. Seems to me Moses got to go into the promised land with not a bunch of grumbling, complaining people, but he got to go in with the incarnate Lord. And he got to talk with the Lord. And this verse in Luke talks about how Moses and Elijah were talking with Jesus about his ultimate departure. They're talking about his death and resurrection. They're talking about what he's going to do. So what I would say is, don't just assume your journey is over. Don't get mad. Don't fight. But hang in. Continue going forward with what the Lord has for you. Now you may be feeling like I did as I read this, but that's Moses, right? My name's not in this book. I'm no grand star in this whole thing. I'm just an average guy, average woman trying to do the best I can. We know this word that we read earlier, transfigured in 2. That is the word metamorpho from the Greek. That has this meaning of deep inward change. It can be a change in form, it can be transfiguration, or it can be transformation. It gives us this idea of what is happening internally within us. What cannot be seen is moving forward out in front of us. We are becoming what we are internally. It's not just I put on a new suit, new hat, or whatever. No, the real me is coming out. And that word transformation, we get our word metamorphosis from it. Think of a butterfly. Starts as the caterpillar, wraps the cocoon, comes out in a very beautiful, beautiful butterfly. But that word, metamorpho, it's used 2 other times in Scripture. Romans 12:2, where Paul says us, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind and spirit. Okay, that's clear direction for me. I know what to do with that. But it's really 2 Corinthians 3:18 that hits home for me, where Paul says, and we, who with unveiled faces, remember Moses' face was veiled when he came out after being with God because they couldn't handle it, with unveiled faces all reflect the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his likeness with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Friends, that's what our journey is. For all of us who know the Lord, all of us who have called on the Lord, our journey isn't what happens on this side, but our journey is when we see the Lord face to face, and we are being made more and more like him. So I would say as you go on these journeys, different ones, don't just get stuck. Don't just say this is all it's going to be. Please don't complain and grumble. I mean, talk to the Lord about that. But please stay in the journey as long as you can. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, if you are looking for a place, if you are someone who is in their own spiritual journey, trying to make sense of what does this mean? What do these words mean? Who this guy, Jesus, how does this go? I can't think of a finer place to be than right here. With these wonderful people, they will walk with you, they will question with you, they will be with you, and they will be a guide to you. And so if you're looking for a place to join, a place that you can continue on your own spiritual journey, why not here? Why not today? If you are deciding too that this guy Jesus, I don't really get all his stuff and the things he asked me to do are way out of my comfort zone, but he sounds good. And that guy really models love well. And I think I want to hitch my wagon to him and work with him. Then I would say that's a wonderful thing.